republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for not only the weather today and a great day, but what a great day for Springdale with ribbon cuttings and just all the events going on. Lord, we have you to thank. Lord, I thank you for this council and each and every one here tonight. I just pray that you'll lead us and guide us and give us all the right questions and all the right answers, and everything we do here tonight will glorify you. And it's for the citizens of Springdale and everybody that works here. Just continue to make it a better place. And Lord, we have you to thank. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mike. All right. I will again welcome you here tonight, and we're going to call this regular meeting of the Springdale City Council to order. This is Tuesday, September 9th, 2025. And in our city clerk's absence, I will ask our Deputy Chief of Staff, Anna McKinney, to call the roll. Anna?
Mayor Sprouse.
Here.
Brian Powell.
Here.
Amelia Taldo. Here. Jeff Watson. Mike Overton.
Here.
Mike Lawson.
Here.
Aaron Huntley.
Here.
Randall Harriman.
Here.
Mark Fugerus.
Here.
And Ernest Kate.
Here.
All right. Thank you, Anna. And we are at item 4 on the agenda. This is the agenda item that the council sets aside each regular meeting to hear comments from our citizens. If we have residents that are here that would like to address the council, please feel free to come to the podium. We ask that you state your name and address and keep your comments brief, and the council won't take action tonight on anything you bring forward during this public comment session. Is there anyone that would like to address the council concerning an item that is not on tonight's agenda?
My name is Wendy Howerton, and my address is 4057 East Churchill Drive, Fayetteville, Arkansas, 72701. And I am just coming to introduce myself to everyone here. I am running for circuit judge in Washington and Madison County, which covers our city here. And I like to come out and introduce myself so you guys get a name and a face. 2-minute blurb about me. Some of you I've just met today. Some of you I've met a month or so ago. Some of you I've known 20 years. But I've been practicing in Northwest Arkansas for 20 years, lived here for 25, have 4 children, one of them sitting back there. And I've been a member in this community for that long, and I'm hoping, like I said, in March to become your judge. I won't bore you with the rest of my details, but hopefully get out there, try to find out who I am. I'm on Facebook and Instagram now. And I practice every single kind of case that will come in front of that bench, which I think makes me uniquely qualified for you all. And like I said, hopefully I'll earn your vote in March. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. Thank you for being here. Anyone else? All right, we will move on then to the approval of minutes. Council, you've had an opportunity to look those over. If there are no changes or additions, I'd entertain a motion to approve them as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second, to approve the minutes as presented. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. All right, item 6, procedural motions. What's your pleasure, council?
I'll move for both A and B.
Second.
We have a motion, a second, for both 6A and B, and I will call for the vote.
Carries 8-0.
All right, thank you, council. And item 7, I have a proclamation, and I think I've got some folks that are going to meet me at the podium, and I'll be happy to present this proclamation. Thank you all for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Doug. It's nice to see you.
Glad to see you. So we're reading this a little early, but this is the
That's
only
okay.
council member we've
This
got
is
before it
perfect.
starts. So,
This is perfect.
all right. Would one of you like to say anything after I read it?
This young lady right here.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
Again, we
Here,
have,
You want to do that first?
No, come on up and go ahead and say what you want.
we have handed you what we are working on for Constitution Week. We will be dropping these off at a couple of schools and wanted you to have an idea of how hard these ladies work all the time. On behalf of Ozark Mountains Chapter and Daughters of the American Revolution, we extend our sincere gratitude to all of you, the City Council and Mayor Sprouse, and their continued support in sponsoring us with our proclamation for the last 4 years. We appreciate it. Your commitment to honoring our nation's founding principles helps keep the spirit of liberty alive in our community. And as we look ahead to America 250, for the United States of America, we are reminded of the enduring strength of the Constitution and the importance of civic engagement. Thank you for standing by us.
All right. It'll be my pleasure to read this proclamation from the office of the mayor. Whereas on September 17th, 2025, and the week following, we celebrate the 238th anniversary of the 1787 Constitutional Convention. And at this convention, the world's oldest written constitution was drafted by the United States, thus outlining the fundamental principles by which our nation is governed. And whereas on September 17th, 1787, after 4 months of debate, highlighted by sharp differences of view and by wise compromises, the outstanding leaders of our republic, who were meeting in the convention at Philadelphia, signed the Constitution of the United States of America. And whereas Congress, by a joint resolution approved August 2nd, 1956, requested President Dwight D. Eisenhower to set aside the week of September 17 through September 23 as Constitution Week, a time for the contemplation and commemoration of the historic acts which resulted in the formation of our Constitution. And whereas it is the privilege and duty of the American people to commemorate the 238th anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America with appropriate ceremonies and activities, and whereas it is fitting that every American should reflect upon the vision and fortitude of our forebearers in creating a charter designed to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty for themselves and for the fortunate millions who were to follow them as citizens of this nation. And whereas the story of the framing, signing, and adoption of that epical document constitutes one of the most significant chapters in the history of our nation. And whereas the Constitution ensures the distribution of functions and responsibilities among 3 separate branches with a system of checks and balances to calibrate those powers, ultimately ensuring the protection of our individual rights and liberties. And whereas the Constitution of the United States of America, the guardian of our liberties, embodies the principles of limited government in a republic dedicated to the rule by law. Now, therefore, I, Doug Sprouse, Mayor of the City of Springdale, Arkansas, do hereby proclaim the week of September 17 through September 23, 2025, as Constitution Week in the City of Springdale, Arkansas. And I urge everyone to give solemn and grateful thought to that eventful week in the September of 1787, when our Constitution was delivered to the Continental Congress, signed, and made known to the people of the country, thus laying the foundation for the birth of a new nation. Thank you, ladies, for bringing this forward, and it's our pleasure to present this to you tonight.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, a picture? Thank you. Thanks. Thank you. All right. Thank you again for being here. That's a pleasure to get to do that. All right, we'll move on now to item 8, and Jay Seago is here with the Springdale Chamber for our quarterly chamber report. Jay?
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council, leaders, and guests. Here are our economic development highlights for the second quarter 2025. Bottom line up front is Springdale has had a strong couple of months for new job creation and initial project investment. 2 weeks ago, Governor Sanders joined the mayor and several others at the grand opening of Keytronics and their new 300,000 square foot facility. This $28 million project will create 400 new jobs over the next 5 years, 1 month ago, Central States Manufacturing held their grand opening. The state-of-the-art steel fabrication facility located at the Kendrick Industrial Park will serve our region, our state, and a significant footprint across the United States with their work. Central States will create up to 140 new jobs with their $24 million project investment. While these two are significant, there are several more projects that are in varying stages of development and will continue to create new jobs and investment for the city of Springdale, both in the months and the years to come. As affirmation of our job growth, over 1,800 new jobs have been created since January, and our 3% unemployment is second in the state. Our July sales tax receipts totaled $2.25 million, which is an increase of 7.2% year to date. Total construction permits for the second quarter continue to increase as it does in this quarter at 12 commercial and 94 residential. In the workforce, Chamber continues to support Cargill and their employees through their transition. Additionally, we're closely supporting NWTI and their new leadership team to connect them to industry leaders and populate their new short-term training and certificate programs that are offered this fall. We hosted Clint O'Neill, who's the Executive Director of the Arkansas Economic Development Commission this summer, to connect him with business prospects, to discuss key development tools like opportunity zones, and to highlight the growing industries in Springdale. And also to express the gratitude we have in Clint's team as they've been a valued partner both in past and future project announcements. On page 2, thanks for your continued support. Mike brought this up in the prayer, but the grand opening that happened today at the Senior Center was just amazing. We have grand openings for Big Emma closely on the heels, targeting this fall. And also, Premium Brands of Northwest Arkansas is going to have a grand opening this fall. That's a $20 million investment in over 100 new jobs at the Kendrick Industrial Park. On the west side of town, Tesla Software's new headquarters looks to open in winter, and they're going to expand their team with several new jobs. And we continue to track 2026 construction completions for Arkansas Children's, UAMS, and then we've got VIA and the Sundry Hotel on our radar as they continue construction. Pending your questions concludes my brief.
Lots of great stuff. Go ahead, Mark.
You said we're number 2 on unemployment. Who is 1? Is it up here
It
too?
floats. It's usually Bentonville, Rogers, Fayetteville, and Springdale. And this past month, it was Bentonville and Rogers were number 1.
Thank you.
Sir.
Anything else?
All right.
Thanks,
sir.
Jay. Appreciate it. All right, we'll move on now to our next item, which is a resolution. I'll go ahead and read it. A resolution making a reappointment to the Advertising and Promotion Commission of the City of Springdale.
Move the resolution pass.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve. Any other comments or questions? Anyone? Okay, I'll call for the vote.
Carries 8-0.
All right, and I want to thank Adriana Torres. She's the reappointment. She's being reappointed to her second term. So we appreciate her willingness to continue to serve on that important commission. Item 10 is our Planning Commission report and recommendations. And Sharon's on her way. Sharon Tromberg, our Director of Planning and Community Development. Sharon?
Good evening, Council, Mayor. So we have 4 items tonight. The first one we're hearing, this is a rezone request that covered a 5.25 acre tract along Old Wire Road. The land use plan designates heavy industrial because both Old Wire Road and the planned County Line Road extension are identified as collector streets. Residents had expressed concerns about air quality, odor, noise, traffic, safety, and potential impacts on their property. The Planning Commission voted 3 in favor and 4 opposed, so this rezoning request was denied at the last Planning Commission meeting, and so the applicants have appealed. So if you have questions, I'm happy to read the appeal title.
I just have a concern, because we deal a lot with the I-1, but we don't deal a lot with I-2. And so in my research on that, I think people's concerns come from where it says that the I-2 is designed to accommodate industrial uses which involve potentially objectionable uses and hazards cannot be reasonably expected to conform to a high level of performance standards. And if you go down to use unit 26, it states, uses which cause the greatest adverse environmental effects because of odor, noise, unsightfulness, and/or air pollution. Many of these uses involve the process of raw materials. Permitted uses include all industrial uses not otherwise listed, subject to approval by the building inspector as an industrial use. And I think that is just a concern because what we say over and over is whatever the worst thing that can go on a zoning is what you should expect. And that concerns me this close to residential. Not I-1, but I-2.
Did they say what they're planning to put on there?
No, and the applicant may be here to help answer some questions, but I think this came up because we didn't know what was happening on the site. And so I think they had inquired to reach out to the city to see what potential next steps were. And then it was identified that in order to continue that operation, they would need to rezone that other piece in order to do any sort of expansion. And these kind of rezonings, this really is about balance, right? We need space for industrial growth in the city, but the long-term residents there do have a right to feel respected. So some of these edge conditions, whenever you have residential and incompatible zonings that are next to each other, they can be kind of difficult to weigh because the needs of the two zones are very different. But whenever we look for industrial land, even though the land use plan itself is a bit outdated, but we would still identify most of that area for industrial. Because when we're looking at future industrial area for Springdale, we're looking for big spaces because industrial developments can't go on half an acre by a local road. So we're looking for collectors, arterials, anything by the railroad or that has rail, large pieces of land. And so that's why this was identified and supported for the industrial.
You touched on my question, do you know how long ago this was put as I-1 on the master land use plan, or I-2? Heavy industrial, I guess.
I don't. The map itself was last updated in 2017, so at least that.
Okay. And would we have the same considerations today when we read, you said it would likely remain that way when it's updated. Is the landscape the same pretty much as it was in 2017?
Potential, right?
Surrounding properties?
And some of the adjacent areas are former Bethel Heights, but there are not any, I'm having to pull up the map just to make sure, but there are not any platted subdivisions. The one that you do see are from Bethel Heights near there. And so if anyone did come to us on that side, on that west side of Old Wire, where we have the land use plan as industrial, we would not recommend them do like a residential development. So we know that the existing ones are there.
Okay.
Sharon, part of this property is I-1 already, and part of it's SF2. Do you know where that line is?
Can you see it right there? And that black outline is the area that they've requested. But I believe the operation itself,
Well, I don't know if you answered what I'm trying to just, I know they're wanting to rezone the black outline. A part of the black outline currently is I-1, correct?
I believe it's just SF2. It might be a little sliver of I-1. Yes, you're right.
So part of it's I-1, the rest of it's SF2. I assume those tracks to the north and the south are SF2?
Correct.
And then what's all the gray stuff kind of to the west and south?
That's all I-1, light industrial.
I know we ask you this all the time. Could you kind of just go over a little bit of the difference between I-1 and I-2?
Mm-hmm. The biggest difference is that the use unit 26 that Ms. Taldo referred to, which is general industrial, is not permitted in the I-1.
Is I-1 more assembly, or is it?
It is a little more restricted.
Okay.
It's much more restrictive. Sorry, I gotta find my place. But the I-2, the general industrial, that use unit that I-2 allows for is that general, which are industrial ones that have a little bit more noise, potential odors, they need more space.
But even if this person isn't going to have those things as I-2, once the property is zoned I-2, the sale of the property, then anybody can put something that's as worse, or the worst thing that you can think of, and that is what you guys always say, that your department, the worst that you can think of it within the zone.
And I wouldn't say we should expect the worst, but you should just be aware that that potential does exist. But yes, if it was rezoned I-2, then they could, anything that would be permitted in the I-2. So someone with a general industrial business could come and submit a development plan. But for the I-2, we have trades and services, which tends to be more commercial, warehousing and wholesale, the limited manufacturing, the general industrial, parking lot, temporary buildings, telephone towers, and transportation services. So it really is that general industrial category that people are seeking for that I-2.
Do we expect the area to the east to be residential in the future?
Yes, sir.
That's what the land use plan shows?
But those have actually been rezoned, haven't
They have, and recently.
I mean, it's not just the land use plan, those are,
Correct. The
That's the current
MF12s
zoning.
that you see there, those were all within the last year, I believe, fairly recent.
So I'm assuming there's a reason that whoever has this property wants to go to I-2, since everything else around that's I-1, kind of like a C5 somebody wanted to drive through. And general industrial is, that's the questionable part. What is general industrial? How will it affect all these areas that will potentially have single-family homes or multifamily residents in there?
I'm going to come down and I'm going to show you, this is from our city. This is general industrial. It's highlighted. This will tell you exactly what can be allowed.
Well, it's 26, so it's agricultural products, processing, foundry and metalworks, grain elevator or feed mill, metal cans manufacturing, other industrial uses that aren't prohibited, plated ware manufacturing, sawmill, tanks manufacturing, textile products manufacturing, and toy manufacturing. However, with the use unit 26, general industrial, it's prohibited. Uses include animal fats and oil renderings, vehicle and equipment salvage, explosives, manufacture and storage, junkyards, scrap metal and refuse collection processing places, petroleum refineries, storage other than wholesale distribution and tanks, ore reduction, slaughterhouse, and smelting. So that list is all things that are absolutely prohibited in an I-2.
Do we have any I-2 in close proximity to this property?
It's fairly close. So the dark blue that is over there, that is in between the highway and the rail, that area is having. Yeah, absolutely. If you would like to, yeah, please.
Come on up and let us know who you are and
Good evening. I'm Ben Harvey. I'm with the owner, Brittenham Construction, and I just wanted to clear up kind of what our intent was and how we got here, because we have no designs on any manufacturing of any kind. This 14 acres, which includes the SF2 and the I-1 to the west of it, is just raw land that we've used to stockpile dirt over time. We own a construction company and a land development company, so you can imagine generate quite a bit of excess dirt. As opposed to paying to haul that to different quarries and so forth, we thought it would be a good idea to set up a sifting facility here just to sift out topsoil, use it on our residential builds. That way we're, effectively using the material. we went in to look for a conditional use permit, but under I-1 and single-family 2, neither of those were allowed. They told us the only way that we could accomplish this sifting facility is to rezone to I-2. So we're not, I understand Ms. Taldo's point about what could be done in the future. If there was another way around it, we did not want to rezone the property. We're just trying to accomplish this task of sifting topsoil on site. Thank you.
Thanks.
Sharon, setting aside the SF2 for a minute and just thinking about the I-1, is there no way you could do a conditional use in an I-1 for that purpose, what he's just referring to?
No, he is seeking, that the sifting is going to be under the general industrial. So he needs the I-2.
Are there conditional uses for I-1?
There are, let me,
Is it the noise that puts it in I-2?
But it is. It's the potential for noise, dust, odor, sound, because even dirt sifting, even though it is not as bothersome as like oil rendering plant, the amount of dust and disturbance and noise can be. But it's not. The use unit 26 is only permitted by right in that I-2.
I didn't have a microphone on. That particular use unit is not a conditional use in any other zoning district. It's a permitted use in an I-2, and that's the only place I believe it exists. Or I-3.
And like, yeah, planned I-3.
Conflict I have, Mr., was your name Brittenham? I'm sorry.
Harvey.
Mr.
Harvey.
Harvey, yes, Mr. Harvey. Is, well, I sure see your argument as far as it not being that intrusive. But I also understand what Amelia's saying is, let's say you decide that ain't gonna work for you and turn around and sell it next year. But that's why I keep saying, in there some way we could do it.
That's a potential.
I know we're hesitant to always do that because there's nowhere to stop, but this seems like a case where that would really
This
make
is-
sense.
And there's always a need, based on all the construction we have going, for soil sifting, so it doesn't get bought out of state and out of county. You know, at least we're keeping it here within our confines, and it would make sense if we could come up with a creative use unit for I-2,
Would your,
for
yeah,
I-1.
Mike, would yours or Jeff or anybody, share, I'll ask your opinion first. Would creating the ability for a conditional use in an I-1, would that make more sense?
That
Or-
would.
Or creating a new zoning classification? which
No,
would be-
a conditional use would, because that would put the appropriate conditions on where it could not be transferred to a different business that was permitted in I-2, or if they expanded or changed their use, they would have to come back. Or if they violated any of the city ordinance, we could bring them back for evaluation. So
right.
conditional use is recommended.
That takes us back to Jeff's original question, and I'm not sure we were able to identify, we can't tell by the map, how much of that is I-1 right now, and where is the I-1?
Brandon? Do you remember off the top of your head, Brandon?
If you've ever observed any of the sifting operations, they're really not
Oh,
that
sorry. Handed me that.
intrusive, and there's not that much noise and dust that's created. You know, kicking out a rock every now and then is just about the extent of the noise that a sifting operation does create.
I'm just wondering if we work toward making it a conditional use in the I-1, are you still going to be able to utilize as much of that property as you need to?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That would
We
make,
just selected the SF2 since it was already I-1, because it's two parcels, but the zoning goes over the parcels.
I got
And
you.
so, you know, as you can see here, the blacked out area obviously is the SF2. Anything thatched to the left of it over to 265 and just over the road is another 9 acres that is I-1.
Okay. Sharon or Ernest, what's the process? I'm sure Planning Commission would have to play a role in this, and what would the process be? Because I don't know what your timeline is either, so.
That has to be a public hearing at Planning Commission. They have to publish notice at least 15 days prior to the public hearing. I don't know I don't have the schedule in front of me, what the agenda deadline is for October
We
Planning
could
Commission.
potentially do it for October, Planning Commission.
To have, would you write that up? Would you create that, identify that conditional use? That doesn't
So-
take very long?
Question again. So where is the I-1 on this property?
Opposed to just making the whole thing I-1, really.
Well, it is I-1 now, they're just
No, there's
asking,
some of it's SF2.
yeah.
The problem is you can't do a use unit 26 in an I-1. That's the problem.
You can
Because I
if it's
would rather-
created.
To be honest, I would rather the I-1 be towards the back of the property and away from, like the back lower portion and not furthest away from the places that are zoned residential.
We're up here discussing this. What are your feelings on this?
I'm sorry?
What are your feelings about what we're discussing?
We're absolutely fine with that. I mean, we really have one goal here, and that was to accommodate this on this site, because it's just a site we've owned for well over a decade and have used it to stockpile dirt, and this is going to give us a better way to use that dirt in our communities, which, includes Springdale.
And in reality, whenever you're finished with that, you're probably going to market the property someday, and
I don't know. My owner has had it for a long time and has made no intentions of selling it or doing much else with it. It was just it's a good location for a lot of our projects nearby to truck to, and we'd used it in the past, just weren't able to set this facility up.
So again, I'm sorry, the map, so that's all SF2? The
It does.
black
There is
outline?
there is a little strip of I-1.
Probably the western portion is the I-1.
Can I see a picture of the outline with the I-1?
I think the reason that's important is because if we can create a conditional use in an I-1, and a big portion of this property is SF2, then we need to rezone it to I-1, or consider that.
Yes, that would be a required step.
That property probably is not going to stay SF2.
I agree.
I'll have to find it for you. I'll have to look through a couple documents and find the right outline for
I
it.
think you can, I'm making a big assumption, you know what that makes us, but it looks to
As
me
usual.
like if you cut that line where the other part's yellow, it's probably the eastern part's SF2 and the back part's industrial, I'm guessing, but, I mean,
Is there some
That'd be a
floodplain involved in
pretty good
this
guess.
property? I see the hash marks, but I don't know if
I
that's.
don't think in the area being rezoned, but on the development site itself, yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
I could throw a procedural, not a wrinkle, maybe an idea. In a rezoning, I know this is an appeal of a denial from Planning Commission, but in a rezoning, the applicant does have the ability to downgrade their rezoning request. So if the applicant wanted to, they could ask to rezone not to I-2, but just the part that is SF2 to I-1. And then if the Planning Commission and subsequently the council next month allows a use unit 26 as a conditional use in an I-1, then his next step would be to apply for a conditional use, and the property would already be zoned I-1.
Yeah, we
Does
would
that
be
make
interested in doing
sense?
that. That's a much better solution. Yeah.
So the vote would be a downgrade to an I-1.
Well, the applicant would have to make that request, because the request tonight is the rezoning that was requested was from I-1 and SF2 to I-2, which he could, without having to start over, he could downgrade the SF2 request to I-2 down to I-1, and that could be considered. And of course, if that was approved, we would bring an ordinance back at the next council meeting And then we would proceed with the amendment to the zoning ordinance to create use unit 26 as a conditional use in an I-1, and that would come to council first meeting in October.
We could create the conditional use first to allow that in I-1, period. Because that's what we're talking about. And then after that, then the applicant could go ahead and make his request to downgrade it to an I-1.
Does your
request.
owner own, taking a look at this map, okay? And you see how the black line cuts off some yellow to the north and some yellow to the south?
We do not own that.
You do not?
No, sir.
Okay, so you would not,
Those two small parcels are not ours,
okay.
smaller parcels.
I believe both of those are currently used as residential uses as well, have houses.
I move to table this appeal so that the planning commission has an opportunity to develop a use unit for I-1 zoning.
Second.
That's what we're doing when we,
So the request before you, the item that's on the agenda would be tabled, I'm assuming, to the October 14th council meeting, which is the first council meeting in October, I think. And in the meantime, that gives planning commission the time to
develop
amend the zoning ordinance to add use unit 26 as conditional use, and we can hear both the same night.
So we are making that referral back to the planning commission for that purpose with that motion.
And that's Mr. Overton's motion? And we do have a second? Who was that? Okay. All right, thanks. I did that for Anna. I just want to make sure she, yeah.
See that slow?
She already had it. I'm that slow. Are there other questions? And we'll still allow any comments from the public if anyone wants to speak to this.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone that would like to speak on this issue? We have a motion and a second before we vote. All right. Are y'all ready back there to, all right, good deal. You're always ready. Call for the vote.
Carries 8-0.
Great.
All right.
All right, thank you all. Go ahead, Sharon.
And the next one is a follow-up from last month's appeal. So we heard a rezoning appeal. So this was the rezoning on Levine for 5.62 acres. And at the last city council meeting, we heard from some of the nearby residents who spoke in opposition. But this body voted 5-2 to overturn that planning commission's denial and approve the rezoning, but with the two 50-foot strips of MF4 as a planned buffer in there.
That was, that southern strip was kind of added at the meeting, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah,
It
okay.
was. And the title of this reads, an ordinance amending ordinance number 3307, the same being the zoning ordinance of the city of Springdale, Arkansas, and the plat pertaining thereto by rezoning R25-39 certain lands located at 4617 Levine Avenue from agricultural district to medium-density multifamily residential district, MF12, to a low-medium density multifamily residential district, MF4, within Springdale, Arkansas, and declaring an emergency.
Move the ordinance be adopted.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the ordinance. Other questions or comments before we vote? Anyone in the audience? Okay, we'll call for the vote.
Carries 7-1.
Move the emergency clause be adopted.
Okay, call for the vote on the emergency clause.
Carries 8-0.
Thank you.
All right.
Our next item is one replat, which is adjusting a property line within a subdivision. They're taking two tracks and seeking to create one. So this is to consolidate these two lots, creating Lot 1AA on a total of 1.32 acres on Elm Springs Road. And these existing lots, they were formed through a couple prior replats. And one nearby resident had come out and spoken opposition, but it was to any future commercial development. And Planning Commission recommended this with unanimous approval, vote of 8-0. The title of this reads, "An ordinance accepting the replat of Westfield subdivision, Phase 1, RP 25-10, to the city of Springdale, Arkansas, and declaring an emergency."
I'll make the motion that the ordinance pass.
So if I'm looking at it right, it's like an acre and a quarter, somewhere combined?
Yes, sir, 1.3 together.
Second.
Okay, we have a second. Motion and a second to approve. Other questions or comments? Anyone? Is there anyone in the room that needs to speak to this? All right, I'll call for the vote.
Carries 8-0.
Move the emergency clause be adopted.
We have a motion and a second for the emergency clause. Call for the vote on the emergency clause.
Carries 8-0.
Thank you. And our last item is a request for a food truck on 71. Trying to find a map for it. So this request is for a food truck and is just south of Shady Grove Road. This lot, it shares with, I think, the Northwest Athletic Club. It's been a paved parking for over 20 years and remains in sufficient condition. The Planning Commission heard this, unanimously recommended approval, 8-0, with no public comment. I included a little table just with some of the mobile vending requirements. And then I did want to mention, I put it in the packet, but I had requested that council authorize the inclusion of one additional condition on the resolution, and I attached a copy. And it was about temporary signs only.
Move the resolution be adopted.
Second. And a couple of questions first. So we have, or had, a different vendor there. Is this replacing or in addition to?
It would be replacing, because there's a separation within so many feet.
I don't think anyone's read the title
Oh,
yet.
I'm so sorry, here you go. A resolution approving a conditional use for Raymond Washington Jr., Radub Soul Food and More, C-2510, at 4407 South Thompson Street, as set forth in the ordinance number 4030.
So are we setting a standard now, from now on, that food trucks can have signage as long as it's not permanent?
It has always been like that. We try and deter it because we don't want permanent, but they are allowed to have temporary signage.
And that's in writing? Because I know it's been said every time in the past, so I'm just wanting to make sure. Okay.
So I was going to ask the same question Mark did, and that is, I thought there was already a food truck on that lot.
Well,
And-
I think he has
and-
been there.
and-
I'm sorry for
and-
interrupting.
Yeah, and Mark asked you if this was going to be a replacement. And I'm not sure I understood the answer, because I thought you said there's going to be a separation, which does that mean there's going to be two food trucks on that lot?
There will be one food truck on the lot. There can only be one every approximately 1,300 feet. So I think this food truck has been parked there and operating for a couple hours a day while he worked with planning in the city of Springdale for this
Do
conditional use
we always
process.
allow that? Do we always allow that for someone to work temporarily while it's in a
We-
request is being made?
Well, we do actually. So mobile vending, 3 hours or less, does not require conditional use, and they can do it. However, the intention of that is to be moving place to place, like for an event or around town. So this did not fully meet the intent of that, but while he was notified that this was going to be a conditional use process and was working with our office diligently, we accepted that he was going to operate for a couple hours a day.
To answer Mark's question about the signage, the supplementary district regulations in Article 6 of the zoning ordinance for mobile vending unit does provide that all signs must meet the requirements of a temporary sign and no flashing signs are allowed. So that would make the added language consistent with the ordinance.
And Sharon, what keeps this, you acted like, yeah, there can only be one mobile vending at this location. our ordinance says that, or what makes it only one on this area? Is there?
There's some supplemental district regulations for mobile vending. In Article 6, there's a very long list. So I tried to provide a few of those in those tables, but one of them is that distance requirement, approximately 1,300 feet, unless there's a couple exceptions.
So
if
the
you're on a
distance
corner.
requirement would keep it at one on this lot then?
Yes.
Yeah, it's actually 1,320 to be
20,
exact.
okay.
He was close.
We have a motion and a second. Are there other questions? Anyone in the audience? Okay, I'll call for the vote.
Carries 7-1.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to have some soul food.
I know.
I don't know when, but yeah. Okay. We are now at item 11, and that's the Finance Committee and Chairman Jeff Watson. Jeff?
Looks like we had 7 items come to us tonight from the Finance Committee. All these items were considered by the Finance Committee and forwarded to council with a recommendation for approval.
That's,
Isn't that true?
Jeff, one quick,
Okay.
yeah, A through F were forwarded with recommendation
Yeah,
for
we
approval.
added one without recommendation.
And G was no recommendation, right?
Thank you, yes. Actually, item 11G, guys and girls, we didn't have anyone to present that in. And so we just forwarded item G to council tonight without any recommendation.
At
So,
about, Ben, you should know, if you look at your phone, at about 6 o'clock, or about 5:55 tonight, Anna started frequently texting you.
so item 11A had to do with the settlement of a condemnation matter. And the title to this resolution is a resolution authorizing the city attorney to settle a condemnation lawsuit wherein Thelma Gregg is defendant, project number 23BPS2, track 10.
Thank you, Mr. Watson. As I mentioned at the committee meeting, I know there was 3 members that weren't here at the meeting. Mr. Lyle is here representing the property owner. This was forwarded with recommendation for approval. And as we stated at the meeting, this basically is splitting the difference on severance damages for this case, and will resolve this case. Also, the ones that weren't here, I don't know if you saw the spreadsheet I put in the packet, but if you don't have it, I'll be happy to forward it to you. If you'd like to have a discussion about it, I'd be happy to talk about it as well, so.
Move the resolution be adopted.
Have a motion and a second to approve the resolution. Other questions or comments? Does anyone else in the room need to speak to this? All right, then I'll call for the vote.
Carries 8-0.
Several of the next 2 or 3 items, 3 items come from the police department and is monies to be spent out of particular, and Colby corrected us not to call it an account, but it was to be paid out of a restricted state forfeiture, at least on the first one, restricted state forfeiture account. Chief can address that. The title of this resolution is a resolution authorizing the purchase of new recording software and related equipment for Springdale Police Department.
Move the resolution pass.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other questions? Anyone? Call for the vote.
Carries 8-0.
I am, appreciate that.
So far,
The next item, C, also comes from a request from the police department and for monies to be paid out of the restricted state forfeiture account. This title to this resolution is a resolution authorizing the purchase of new radios for Springdale Police Department and to waive competitive bidding.
Move the resolution passed.
Second.
Motion is second to approve. Any other questions or comments? Anyone? Call for the vote.
Carries 8-0.
I may actually ask the chief to address this next item D. It is not paid for out of that account. This title, this resolution is a resolution accepting a grant from Arkansas Department of Finance Administration's Project Safe Neighborhoods Program, amending the 2025 budget of the city of Springdale and appropriating funds for the Springdale Police Department. This, oh, I know what it was. This, part of it's from the drug seizure fund and part of it's from that same account we just took money from.
Yes, sir,
what it
that's
was.
correct.
Move resolution passed.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Other comments or questions? All right, I'll call for the vote.
Carries 8-0.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Next item comes from Parks and Recreation, a request for purchase of new equipment for the aquatic center. The title of this resolution is a resolution amending the 2025 budget of the city of Springdale and authorizing the purchase of new pool floats for the Springdale Aquatic Center.
Are these supposed to support the girth of the present director?
Who are you talking to?
Move resolution passed.
You're talking about the heavy floats out there that are
Right.
chained to the bottom.
Yeah,
correct?
the one the kids play on, the meter pool.
So they won't support you?
No.
I second the resolution.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions? Call for the vote.
Carries 8-0.
Item F also comes from Parks and Recreation Department requesting the amendment of the 2025 budget to allow for the purchase of 2 new mowers. This resolution's title is a resolution amending the 2025 budget of the city of Springdale and authorizing the purchase of 2 new mowers and a trailer for the Parks and Recreation Department.
Move resolution passed.
So question first, why are we needing to do this now versus waiting and putting it in next year's budget?
Well, right now, we do need one of the mowers, the field mower, since we took on Shaw Park. This mower is a field mower, so it just does outfields and infields of all of our ball fields. And right now, we have 2 mowers that does all the parks, and they mow twice a week. And it just takes forever to get it out to Shaw. The other one is, we're needing to replace it because it had over 2,200 hours on it. And another reason.
And how old was that, Chad? How old was that one?
It's old.
Okay,
I'd say
thanks.
10 years.
That was the answer I was looking for. Okay.
And probably, I'm going to come back with some more, so.
So will it stay out there so we don't, or could it not stay out there in that area where we're mowing so often with it and would
Yeah,
not
well-
even have to trailer it?
Yeah, we're going to keep it out at Shaw, and it'll be mowing that park and JB Hunt. And our other 2 mowers will be mowing the southern parks.
Hey, Mark, I think the trailer is going to be used to carry the skid
Yeah,
steer,
skid
the
steer.
current skid steer that they have. They need a way of hauling it.
So we can be assured it's not going to be used mowing your house, is that correct?
It's too small, but,
I second it.
yeah.
We do have a
The motion.
motion. Yeah, we have a motion and a second. Okay. Any other comments or questions? Okay, I'll call for the vote.
Carries 8-0.
And then the final item, G, as I mentioned, was not really discussed by the Finance Committee other than for purposes of just forwarding it to council. There was not really any true discussion and no recommendation. I'll go ahead and read the title, though. A resolution authorizing the execution of an engineering services contract for intersection improvements at Bacchus Avenue and Pleasant Street.
Thanks. So George's Incorporated has a plant on Bacchus Avenue that currently uses a private drive named Kansas, and they're having difficulty with congestion as their semis and their employees all try and leave out of that same point. So their first ask was, is it possible for that intersection to become signalized? And because of its proximity to Highway 71, it's too close and it would cause a congestion problem that we don't want to entertain. So the follow-up to that was that they would be willing to connect their employee parking lot to Pleasant Street and bring the cars out there, which that intersection is far enough away from 71 that we could do an intersection there, be it a signal or a roundabout, not sure which yet. They would continue to have their semi-truck traffic go out the existing one, so those left turns would continue to be made by the semis, but their employees would be routed to Pleasant. Pleasant is shown as a collector street, and it would be our goal long-term to connect that street going north and connect it to the neighborhoods that are being developed up on the north end of that. So it makes sense and it fits within our grid system to have an intersection improvement at this location. So.
Are we,
Yes.
is part of this engineering contract to go ahead and look at that connection to that neighborhood to the north?
This is just to design intersection improvements there.
Okay.
The connection to the neighborhood to the north will come kind of as the planning happens.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
there's some.
But
vacant
long-term, it makes a lot of sense.
Long-term makes a lot of sense.
Because right now, that neighborhood to the north has to all access on West End or Cheyenne Trail or something, don't they? Don't they go to the west?
There's two entrances as they develop. The first one's going out to Pump Station Road,
Okay,
and then they have another entrance to the south, but that's going through established existing neighborhoods.
gotcha. Okay.
What funding is covering this?
I'm proposing that this would come out of the 23 bond program.
And are there other intersections that people have brought forward that they've asked for us to work on that we might need to consider before we put it towards this one?
Well, we are actually doing, I can't remember if it's 7 or 8 intersections out of the 23 bond program. So Don Tyson Parkway at 71, Don Tyson Parkway at 265, Robinson and Highway 71, Huntsville and 71, Bacchus and 71. What am I missing?
Thank you, but that's not what I asked. What I asked was, are there anybody who's bringing any more to you that's saying, hey, we think this is a problem, we would love to see a roundabout or a light or an intersection change here, and besides this one company for this one street?
No, not currently. Anytime someone does that, it goes to traffic committee. If traffic committee decides it needs improvements, then we bring it forward to figure out how to do those improvements and pay for it. But at this time, this is the only one we're considering.
Thank you.
It's a three-way intersection, correct?
No, it's a four-way intersection. It's two-way stop controlled. So Pleasant runs north and south across Bacchus. Bacchus is free-flowing and Pleasant is stopped in both directions.
Yeah, Pleasant stop, it does stop short of Huntsville though, as it goes south.
Ben, would that be sort of like the improvements that you did on Conair and Gray Drive with the intersections having trouble turning, those that you've done recently?
I think all we did at that one was a light, right? Didn't we add?
Well,
some-
you added lighting and also the striping
Oh,
for
we
the
did some
turn lanes
striping.
and all that.
Yeah, so if it's striping, usually you guys don't hear that because it's a simple enough solution that we never have to come here. But this one, I mean, could be in the ballpark of about $1.5 million to actually do the construction. So that's why it's here.
We're looking at a roundabout.
Could be a signal, could be a roundabout.
That's the study.
That's part of what we intend for them to do. I mean, if you asked me today, I'd say a roundabout because there seems to be enough room to do it. But there's a lot has to go into it before we make that final decision.
Probably, if a roundabout would work, it would probably be less expensive, correct? Given what signals cost now, it depends on how much right-of-way we would need to get.
I can make it say either way. If you want to
Okay.
talk about, if you're a signal guy, the signal's probably cheaper to install day one. If you're a roundabout guy, take a 5-year study, and then the roundabout's cheaper because of maintenance costs.
Okay,
So,
okay. Well, I guess that's what they'll figure out.
yep.
Would it be just a 1-lane or 2-lane roundabout?
Once we hire them, that'll be part of their job is to determine what it is. My guess is a 1-lane because Backus handles
2-lane.
traffic just fine as a 3-lane road, but again, that's why we hired the experts.
How's Johnson Road handling the traffic of semis? Have you had any complaints of that?
Johnson at what?
From 412 to Johnson, the city of Johnson.
Well, that's the
Johnson
truck
Road.
route. Johnson Road's the truck route, right?
I don't think it's a truck route, but it has a major mill on it, and so you see a lot of trucks because they have a
Well, I know we
delivery.
direct them to Johnson Road instead of Don Tyson.
We still don't have a motion,
Correct.
but we're having discussion.
Yeah.
Not supposed to. Trial Robert's Rule of Order. Robert's Rules of Order. And there's no motion and no second.
Sometimes you need more information to make a motion.
Well, then maybe you should.
I move the resolution be adopted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Now, what do you want to talk about, Mike? No, Brian made the second. Okay. If there's no other discussion, is there anyone in the audience that would need to discuss this? Okay, seeing none, we will call for the vote.
Carry 7-1.
All right. Thank you, Ben. And item 12, I'm going to turn over to our city attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an ordinance authorizing the city clerk to file a cleanup lien for the removal of overgrown brush and debris on property located within the city of Springdale, Arkansas, and declaring an emergency. This is on property located at 1160 Bow Lane. It's in Benton County, part of Springdale, formerly Bethel Heights.
Move ordinance passed.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the ordinance. Any other questions or comments? And is there anyone that needs to speak to this property in the audience? Okay, call for the vote.
Carries 8-0.
Move the emergency clause be adopted.
Second.
Call for the vote on the emergency clause.
Carries 8-0.
All right, thank you. We're at item 13. Any comments from the city council?
We
Mayor, I'll
determine
just-
when we're going to do our next meeting.
Next Thursday will be our next committee meeting. That's what y'all decided a couple of weeks ago.
I just want to reiterate today's, the senior center, what a phenomenal place. Anybody that hadn't got to go see that, I knew what we had decided to build and I'd seen it on paper, but until you truly walk in it, it's absolutely amazing. So congratulations to Lori and her staff.
It is already extremely well used.
Right.
Something else we might say is that with the Keytronics announcement and with premium brands, those are not just new employers coming to the area, but they're coming into the area from other parts of Northwest Arkansas. So that's the highest praise we can get for Springdale.
Thanks, Eric. You're right. Okay. Ernest, do you have anything?
Yes, sir.
Anybody else? You were pointing to somebody. Do we have another councilman? Okay. I don't have anything. We have a motion to
So moved.
adjourn. It is. We stand adjourned. Thank you all.